Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Thunderstruck, our look back at the greatest matches of one Jushin Thunder Liger, as picked by each and every unique standalone guest host on this series. And today, I'm very excited to welcome back to Post Wrestling someone who appeared on the Cruel Summer series. He's also an announcer on New Japan World occasionally, not regularly, but hopefully that will change in the near future. He is Mavs Gillis. Mavs, how are you, sir?
Very good. It is a beautiful morning in Nova Scotia. The sun is shining. The leaves are changing colors. This might be airing in December, but who knows? But right now, my friend, I'm fantastic, and it's even better to talk to you about Jushin Thunder Liger.
Yeah, so, Mavs, let's talk about your fandom in regards to one Jushin Thunder Liger. When did you first discover this man?
For me, it was in WCW, and he was one of the guys that brought Japanese pro wrestling into the Monday Night Wars and into the that era of pro wrestling. Of course, there was always a couple guys that were around from the Japanese side in wrestling, but Liger was one of those high flyers that you'd see him on your screen and think, oh, shit, I got to watch this. This guy's amazing. And to watch, to see just the length of his career, the more you study Liger and the more you got to know him, it's mind-blowing to think that he's just retiring now and still able to go at the level that he is. Yeah,
I mean, he's in amazing condition. When he doesn't wear a shirt, it's like, whoa, that guy's 55?
Yeah, this guy's jacked.
And you've seen him in person.
I did. He was the first guy I met from New Japan that was a wrestler. As I said, me and Lanny were sitting on the bus. This head popped up. He didn't recognize the two guys sitting in the announcer seats in the bus, came over and said, oh, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Liger. And I was absolutely flabbergasted to see the guy without the mask, but blown away that's the first guy you meet on the New Japan tours, Jushin Thunder Liger, the legend.
Was he wearing his Jushin Liger makeup?
I will neither confirm nor deny the Jushin Liger while hopping on the bus there, WH. We got to keep that kayfabe.
Yes, got to keep the kayfabe there.
Yeah.
Okay, so and how do you feel about, like, we talked about his retirement just now, like, how do you feel? He's going to retire on, January 5th is going to be his last match, and January 6th is going to be his retirement ceremony.
I think the way they're giving him a wonderful send-off is great. I think he truly deserves it. I know for some guys, they say they're retiring and they get a 2-week tour and then a final match with the 10-bell salute, and away they go. For Liger, he deserves to be touring the world, and everyone gets to show their appreciation for what he provided for the world of professional wrestling. It's going to be weird to not see him in the ring. I hope he stays with commentary. I hope he kicks around. I hope he stays with the dojo and is training the young lions and those coming through the dojo program, because he's a guy that just loves pro wrestling. Like, he would break into the dojo so that he'd be able to train at night when no one else was around. He lives there half the year anyways. He's 55 and he's still living that dojo life. There's a guy that just loves pro wrestling almost as much as he loves Godzilla.
He's a big Godzilla fan.
Yeah, he's got a big collection of figures.
Oh, see, we're learning a lot of things here that you might not hear on other podcasts, everyone. Here on Thunderstruck, we have now confirmation that Jushin Thunder Liger is a big Godzilla otaku. There you go.
Yeah, I read that somewhere that he was a big collector of Godzilla figurines, and it's for a guy that's known for a character from a comic book, and also kind of become identified with Japanese pro wrestling. Why not be identified with another cultural Japanese icon?
There you go. Let me ask you one more question before we get to the match, and that is, do you have like kind of a wish list of who you would like to see Liger face in his absolute last match on January 5th?
absolute last match, January 5th. Ooh, they've got such a stacked card for the January 4th tag match. I don't know. I don't know if I'd be. I don't know if I'm qualified to say who to put in that match.
Like who would your dream opponent be? Like someone who's still around these days for his last singles match, because I do believe it's going to be a singles match.
For his last, I enjoyed the blow off with Minoru Suzuki at King of Pro Wrestling. Who would I put him in that for that last match? Jeez, that's a.
Okay, well, I'll let you think about it. I'll let you think about it. You know what?
I would love to see him go against Will Ospreay.
Will Ospreay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah, put him against Ospreay. Ospreay's is a guy that's such a spectacular high flyer, has his mat wrestling down, it can go. If you got a chance to put him against someone that's, I know Ospreay's he's trying to go heavy now, right?
Yeah.
No, he's still but put him against Liger.
Okay, for the title, for the junior title, and he wins the junior title as the last hurrah.
It wouldn't be a bad idea. So he's up to 12, and they're able to retire the belt as the IWGP Jushin Thunder Liger title.
My dream opponent is for his last match.
Who's that?
Super Liger. You remember Super Liger?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah. You never saw the Super Liger gimmick? No,
I haven't.
You know who Super Liger is under the mask?
I'm gonna guess Taguchi.
No. It's a Canadian wrestler.
Okay, who is it?
It's Chris Jericho.
Oh.
Okay.
You know what?
Mavs, after this show is done, go out and search out Super Liger. He has his god-awful match in the Tokyo Dome with Koji Kanemoto. It's horrible.
Okay. I will look up Super Liger.
And Super Liger is something that Chris Jericho does not want to talk about. Trust me.
Okay. What if he wrestles Captain New Japan?
Oh, fuck. No, please. No.
Captain fucking New Japan.
No. Here's my idea, really. Seriously. Hiromu.
Yep.
If he's ready to go, if he's back.
Ooh.
Hiromu. Okay, put him over. Put over Hiromu.
Yeah.
Pass the torch.
I'd love it. I'd love it on the fact of seeing Hiromu back as well.
So here's the idea. Hiromu beats Ospreay on the 4th for the title, and then he says, I'm going to fight Liger in his retirement match for the title, and Liger beats him for the title, and then they have the best of the Super Juniors coming up, later in the spring. They don't have a IWGP Junior Champion, and then the best of the Super Juniors to crown the new champion.
Oh, so you would say a Super Junior tournament to crown a new champion.
Yeah, so Liger's a champion until and then he vacates it the day of the finals.
Maybe that might just tie into the match we're about to talk about, WH.
Yeah, okay, so, Mavs, tell us, which match did you pick for Thunderstruck?
I picked Owen Hart versus Jushin Thunder Liger, top of the Super Juniors too. Their match was basically a quarterfinal without being a quarterfinal. Both guys sitting at 6 points, and they needed 8 to get into the semifinals of the top of the Super Junior, which was a tournament that kind of preceded Best of Super Junior, kind of evolved into that. And Liger went into this tournament as the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, vacated the belt, put it on the line in the tournament, and Liger needed to win to get to the semis, as did Owen Hart. And I picked the match also because I wanted to, give a little recognition to Owen Hart's time in New Japan as well. And there's a relationship that was formed with Liger and Owen Hart in their time when Liger was training in Stampede Wrestling. For 4 months, he was in Calgary. He was in the dungeon. Liger and Owen tagged quite a bit in their time in Stampede as well. They had a couple matches. I mean, you can find Owen versus Yamada beforehand. You can find their tag matches in Stampede, and you can also find the matches where it's Liger and Owen Hart. But this was the match I picked out of it. It's definitely a match that you see elements of that Stampede style, which is hard hitting and really laying the stuff in and making sure they good mat wrestling, but making you feel what they're going through in the ring. So that was the match. This is one of the reasons I picked the match.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, just on that point, I think there's something to be said that, you know, the Calgary the Stampede wrestling style out of Calgary is basically what informs the junior heavyweight style of New Japan Pro Wrestling. You had, of course, you know, the people who like laid that foundation are Tiger Mask and Dynamite Kid, who got his start in Stampede. Then later on, Liger, who worked in Stampede, and then you had Owen Hart come over. You had Chris Benoit come over. You had, like, you know, Liger faced Brian Pillman, who came from Stampede and WCW. So a lot of this stuff is like things that were, you know, like were kind of foundations that the Hart family kind of set down in Calgary that was kind of imported into, not, I don't know necessarily the heavyweight style of New Japan, but definitely in the junior heavyweight style. There's an aspect of, you know, Calgary Stampede wrestling in the DNA of New Japan Junior Heavyweight Wrestling from the 80s up until 2019.
And you know what? And we talk about how it's the Calgary style. Maybe, and WH, we're both Canadian. We can hit on, maybe it's this hard hitting style that comes from junior heavyweights, comes from that little bit of an inferiority complex that comes from being a Canadian against the world, or being the junior heavyweight against the heavyweight style, in that we want to show them what we got. We want to show them something they've never seen before. And you see just how tough these guys are coming out of the dungeon. And you got Stu training these guys, training them the submission holds, training them just arm bars, locks, submissions. But the evolution of that with the high flying, as you talked about, the alumni that came over, and one of Liger's best matches is him and Brian Pillman. And you have the training from the dungeon shown off on a grand stage with WCW in that match as well. But you're getting glimpses of it here.
Yeah, definitely. Just for more information about this match, it's on April 28th, 1991. It's, like you said, it's part of the Top of the Super Juniors, the second edition of this tournament, which is the precursor to the Best of the Super Juniors tournament we see now. It emanates from the Omiya Skate Center in Omiya, Saitama, Japan. And yeah, this is where can we find this match? Where did I find this match? I'm trying to think. I think I found it on Daily Motion.
Yeah, it's around. It's not on World for some reason. And there's a lot of stuff, just like the Disney Vault. New Japan World has some stuff locked away, but will hopefully break out someday.
Yeah.
This could be one of those matches. I don't know the dealings of Japanese TV contracts and distribution deals, but hopefully someday. You know, there's not a lot of Owen Hart on New Japan World, which is it's a bit of a shame, because of, you know, he's the first foreign-born IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, and you know he had a very good run in New Japan Pro Wrestling. But one of the other facts about this match is this is Owen Hart's last match in New Japan.
There you go. So it's a very historical match, and we'll talk about what we think about this match as we go through. Obviously, it's a favorite of yours. I will give my overall thoughts at the end of the review of the match itself. So let's start with the match review, Mavs. So Owen comes out, and he is wearing a very Canadian outfit. It's red and white, and it's adorned everywhere with maple leaves. And I was like, he is super Canadian in this match.
Now this is what the people have tuned in for, because they've tuned in to hear WH talk about the gear. I want your thoughts on the Owen gear. I mean, we know what Liger's wearing, but what's your thoughts on Owen Hart's gear?
Oh, I love it. I mean, I like he's wearing the same basic, set up as like Bret, right? So he's wearing long tights with boots and knee pads, and then he's wearing a singlet top. So very similar to what Bret Hart, his older brother, would wear throughout most of his career. And he's wrestling in Japan. So he's like, okay, I got to show that I'm a Canadian. So I'm going to wear, red and white gear, and there's going to be maple leafs on it. Listen, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen a wrestler wear. Why would I dislike this? This is Canadian. I'm Canadian. Mavs, I live in Japan. I've lived here for a long time, but in my heart of hearts, I am still that kid that grew up in Toronto.
I don't blame you. You keep those roots, bud. So my match review on this, it's starts off a lot of fire, like the hip tosses, arm drags, the hammerlock, everything is so crisp, and you get the first bit of high flying when Owen does a spectacular move, just a springboard off the top rope into a hip toss. Then you see him flip over Liger and another hip toss, and Owen is just showing that high flying ability he's getting in his offense early, and followed up by a great flat plancha to the outside. Just everything reeks of aggression in the start of this. There's a couple now. I know it cools off a bit in the middle, which that's fine. You're going to get your arm bars, you're going to get your hammerlocks, you're going to get Owen and Liger just isolating body parts and trying to wear down arms. Some great surfboards. There's one spot here where Liger gets Owen out on the apron, and you often you see the tease, or sorry, Liger's on the apron and Owen's in the ring. We see the tease all the time for guys getting suplexed to the outside. In today's wrestling, Liger just picks Owen up and suplexes him to the outside of the ring. I was showing that around the office. Guys couldn't believe it because you never see that in today's wrestling.
It's very rare, but you're painting a very broad picture of this match. I'm just gonna fill in some of the details for you, and then I'm gonna catch up to where you get. But let me just go back to the beginning of the match. And so you're very right. There's a lot of fire throughout the whole match. And so we start off with each guy jockeying for position and flipping and rolling out of wrist locks, with Liger gaining the upper hand early with a fireman's takeover. There's a test of strength that sees Owen escaping by bouncing off the top rope, backflips into a hip toss. There's a second hip toss that is countered by Liger. Owen counters that by backflipping off of Liger's head. It's a very signature Owen Hart move. And another hip toss, and then he takes it into a head scissors, a takeover onto Liger, and then he drops Liger to the outside. And this is all within a 2-minute span here. Then you mentioned the plancha from Owen onto Liger, who's outside of the ring, and then he gives him a dropkick into the barricade. So this match is super hot in the first 5 minutes alone, Mavs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and as the first 5 minutes is that drop kick from Owen into Liger, just really laying it in on the guardrail, and yeah, Owen's so good at attacking the mat when he was getting thrown around, just really going hard to the canvas and making, these guys are both making each other look great.
Definitely. From here, Owen sends Liger back into the ring and hits a snap suplex and slows it down at this point with the rear chin lock. Liger hits 2 kitchen sinks and suplexes Owen to the outside, the spot that you mentioned, from the apron. And at this point, I made a note that this is very reminiscent of, it feels very much like a Dynamite Kid Tiger Mask match. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean that's a great assessment. Both those guys had no fear, and you're seeing them really put on a show and wanting to wanting to go move for move against each other.
Well, I really think I get the feeling that Owen is very much trying to emulate Dynamite Kid because he knows that, Dynamite has such a super following and people are so familiar with his style of wrestling, like some of his signature moves, like the snap suplex and even like the suplex from the apron to the outside. These are very much things that you would see in a Satoru Sayama Tiger Mask Dynamite Kid match. From here, Liger hits his own drop kick into the barricade. So he sends Owen into the barricade really, really stiffly with this really brutal looking drop kick. He then applies an Indian deathlock onto Owen, and then at some point he stands up. Liger stands up, and then he falls back, applying this amazingly painful looking torque to Owen's knees.
Yeah, and you hear Owen just wrenching in pain on the audio of it, picking it up on the camera there, and yeah. As you say, we talked about the high flyingness, but then these guys get on the mat. They show you the mat wrestling aspect of it. They're putting in arm bars. They're putting legs locks. They're putting in surfboards. It started off real hot, and then they brought it right back down.
But it's still like a very engaging match for the crowd.
Exactly. Yeah, you're watching test of strength, and they talk about wrestling. You want to isolate a body part and work on it, and you see Owen just hammering away at the inside of Liger's arms at one point, and he's just sticking with that right arm. By the way, the Northern Lights suplex is on in this match as well. I'm a sucker for when a guy puts his head under the arm of another guy and then just flips him up over him. I am a sucker for a good Northern Lights.
Yeah, so you're a big Hiroshi Hase mark then.
Yes, and Hase and Owen were good friends apparently, and that was part of the reason why Owen got that title in '88.
Well, I mean, Hase was the infamous Viet Cong Express. I think it was 2. True. Was he Viet Cong Express 2?
He was 1 or 2. It's a good point. Yeah, he comes out of that Stampede territory as well. He had experience there.
Let's just say this: 80s wrestling is not woke. You'll see a lot of these kind of ethnically charged gimmicks, so to speak. Let's move on. Let's get back to the match. From this point, Owen, like you're talking about all this mat work. So Owen, there's a big segment where Owen's just regaining control by working over Liger's left arm with arm bars, with hammerlocks, with arm DDTs, etc. Liger is finally able to reverse his fortunes by applying his own Fujiwara armbar to Owen's left arm. So they're kind of working each other's left arms. That seems to be like the story of this match at this point, at this particular section of the match. Owen is able to escape the Fujiwara by reaching the ropes. From here, Liger transitions to his signature Romero special and then moves him into a pendulum style stretch, and from here he's able to get a series of 2 counts on Owen, but Owen Hart is not staying down at this point in the match.
No, and as you say, that pendulum stretch right on the screen again, just Liger specials as you talk about, and you see him really torque and really wrench it and really get the advantage back in the match.
Yeah, people like wrestling is a work, obviously, but a lot of these holds hurt. You have to be a really skilled person to like apply it so it looks realistic, and it does hurt, but like to not really seriously injure anyone, because like there's so much pressure. Like Owen's knees are like his legs are like kind of like positioned behind his knees. He's got his arms in a pinned to behind him, and Liger's carrying him. This just goes to show you, like, Owen's not a light man. He's a junior heavyweight, but he's not a light man, and Liger's just holding this guy in this very awkward position, and he's swinging him back and forth like a pendulum. That's why they call it the pendulum stretch. But it just goes to show you, like, the amount of skill that for one, you just can't put anyone in this move. The person in the hold has to be skilled enough to be able to keep their balance. And then the person doing it, Liger in this case, has to be skilled enough to be able to strong enough and skilled enough to hold the person in this position for 2-3 minutes.
Yeah. Normal bodies don't contort that way.
No, they don't. I would never want to be put in that move or the Romero special, for God's sakes.
No, people have hard time stretching to touch their toes. Can you imagine being thrown into a forcible hold like that and saying, all right, we're going to hold this move for a minute. Just trust me on this one. I got you. And that goes back to wrestling, where it's guys trusting each other with their bodies.
From here, Owen backflips over Liger to dodge a backdrop, but is met with a big capo kick, another signature Liger move, and Liger follows that up with a clothesline that sends Owen to the outside. So the match has moved back to the outside. Liger goes to the top and hits a beautiful crossbody block to Owen, who's still on the floor. This is the peak of Jushin Liger's crazy daredevil high flying stunts that he would tone down post his brain tumor surgery.
Yeah, you just see the elevation from him on that one as well, and watch him connect with Owen. But it's the high flying style Liger, but it's unlike stuff that we were used to over in North America to see it. I mean, you wouldn't see moonsaults, you wouldn't see this type of stuff in '91. With the wrestling I was watching with WWF. No,
definitely, Owen is wrestling a much different style of match than his brother Brett would be in the WWF at this time, so.
But, and just as a side note on this, I'm watching Owen in his New Japan matches. I'm watching what he's doing. And in my head, I'm trying to figure out, how did the WWF at the time take a look at this guy and say, yeah, you know what? Blue Blazer. You're Bret Hart's brother? Yeah, we'll put you under a mask and we'll try to get you over with this Blue Blazer gimmick. I know it's 80s wrestling. The guys from OSW Review would be the first one to say it was acceptable in the 80s. But the talent that Owen Hart has, and you're gonna have him put on the mask and try to tone down. The stuff he's doing in this ring, if he was doing it in WWF in '88 as the Blazer, who knows if he'd be coming back to, or if they just had him out as Owen Hart.
I'm gonna be the devil's advocate and say I like the gimmick itself, the character at the time I thought was a really smart idea, because it's a you want a character that you can market to kids. When I was a kid, I liked masked wrestlers. I'm like, who's the guy in the mask? Oh, he's like a superhero, because I read comic books. So you're going to naturally be drawn to that if you're a younger member of the audience, and which at the time in the 80s, most of the audience were kids, right? True. So, but I do agree with you on the fact that they did tone him down. If they let him be what he was in Stampede, what he was in New Japan, yeah, I think he would have got over. But you got to think of all the political forces in the company at that time, including Vince. It's a big man's company. The 80s WWF is a big man's company. It's the era of Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, King Kong Bundy, Andre the Giant. Even Savage is a big dude, right? So yeah, DiBiase's, these guys are all big dudes. To varying degrees. Owen's small compared to them. He's still kind of in that junior heavyweight phase of his career. He's not when he's the King of Hearts later on, when he turns heel against Brett and he joins up with Yokozuna and all that. That's when he kind of becomes more of a heavyweight, and he wrestles more like a heavyweight then. But I do think along with Owen as the Blue Blazer, that they missed a big opportunity with say Koko Beware. Because if you watch Koko Beware in the territories before he gets to the WWF, he is so watered down in the WWF. Koko Beware is a tough mofo in Memphis and other places that he works before he gets to the WWF. And then what you see in the WWF is a very, very, very toned down Koko Beware. I really think if they put Owen and Koko as a tag team, high energy, right? Yep. If they let them just be their non-WWF selves, those guys would have killed everyone. They would have had killer matches with all the great tag teams at that time. I don't know if the Rockers had broken up by then. They might have broken up by then, but can you imagine Koko Beware and Owen Hart against the Rockers? And I don't know. I'm trying to think, what year would it be? Maybe 88. Yeah. 88 would have been a great year for that, and against the Brainbusters, or, whoever else was, or the Orient Express, Pat Tanaka, and, who is it? Sato at the time, not Paul Diamond version, but with the Japanese guy Sato.
Yeah, I remember seeing High Energy back at a host show, taking on Horowitz and Skinner. So you could imagine it's not quite the same tag team experience after the tag teams you just listed off, and then saying Horowitz and Skinner.
Well, yeah, Steve Kern is not the greatest worker in the Skinner gimmick, and Barry O is just, Barry Horowitz is not. He's not a bad worker, but he's like, he's just a jobber, right? It's like, you know who like the modern day Barry Horowitz is?
Who would that be?
It's Chase Owens. Chase Owens is the modern day Barry Horowitz. He's a good jobber who does some flashy moves, but that's all he is. He's a jobber. He looks like a jobber. He wrestles like a jobber. And I get my little Chase Owens dig in there, and there you go. I don't want to get heat on you if you ever have to talk to Chase in the future.
That's you're entitled to your opinion, WH, my friend.
Yeah, no, it's my show, so I am definitely entitled to my opinion. But getting back to the match.
Get back to Liger Owen, yeah.
Back in the ring, Owen does a backflip over Liger. He leapfrogs over Liger. He gives Liger a belly-to-belly suplex for a big 2 count. And the crowd, Maz, I have to know, the crowd is very hot for this match at this point, because they can sense that we're reaching the crescendo of this match. There's a big Liger call from the fans here in the Omiya Skate Center. A German suplex with a bridge for a 1 and a 2. Liger counters after with a lariat, and then he counters a lariat attempt by Owen with a crucifix slide for a big 2 count there. This is a very exciting part of the match, Baz. It's very much similar to the part where, we would get to the similar part in a G1 review that we did on Cruel Summer, except there's no stranglehold gamma in this match.
No, there's no gammas, there's no betas. It's straight up.
It's straight up, yeah. Liger counters and an Owen cross body block from the top turnbuckle with a midair dropkick. Just one of my favorite spots in any match involving guys like Liger or Owen or Brian Pillman or what have you. Owen ducks under a spinning wheel kick, but is sent over the top rope with a backdrop. Owen jumps from the apron to the top turnbuckle. It hits a beautiful twisting cross body block with which Liger reverses for a 2 count. So he kind of catches him and just rolls through it. This is really it's just like such an amazing match so far at this point.
That's a textbook Owen Hart move. That is one of his signatures right there, to do the off the top and then flip just the moonsault into the pin. You see that so many times out of Owen Hart. But a good roll through, just keep that heat building.
Yeah. So Owen hits a tombstone piledriver and goes to the top. He hits a diving headbutt, very reminiscent of the Dynamite Kid, for a big 2 count of his own. Owen plants Liger near the corner with a slam and then hits a beautiful moonsault for a 1, a 2. Oh, he kicks out. It's only a 2 count on Liger here. And now they're just pulling out all the stops here at Mavs.
Yeah, and everyone, this crowd knows what's on the line. It's a trip to the semifinals of the top of the Super Junior 2. So they're building it up to Owen potentially eliminating the guy who gave up the title to go into the tournament.
Yeah, and like the crowd's aware of the stakes. Owen and Liger are both aware of the stakes, and it's evident in the match how important this match is for them. Liger catches Owen as he's climbing to the top and locks him on top of his shoulders as Liger kind of climbs up the shoulder, like the ropes himself, with Owen on his shoulder, and then he falls back, slamming Owen to the mat. Cover, a 1, a 2 count. Oh. Another big false finish here. Owen is placed on the top turnbuckle, but fights off Liger. This is probably my favorite part of the match, Mav. So he's fighting off Liger with headbutts and punches. Liger counters with a dropkick that dazes Owen, and then he hits a nasty-looking top rope DDT for the 1, the 2, and the 3. This is the end of the match, and this is I saw this DDT and I'm like, man, that is a brutal looking DDT, and I don't think he really used it that much in his career.
No, and I was trying to recollect who would break out top rope DDTs in their matches. Like, I'm just watching it back again now, and it was another spot that I was showing around the office. Just like that is such a crazy finish and such a crazy move. All right, top rope DDT. Let's go for it. Liger coming down flat on his back, and Owen just, you see, I think it's Satori checking in on Owen's shoulders and spine on that finish as well off the top rope DDT. Yeah, it's certainly, for everything that they threw in that final segment, to finish on that move makes complete sense.
And the struggles Owen's trying to keep Liger off of him, because he feels like, okay, like if we're thinking that this is a real fight and they're making us feel like it's a real fight, then he knows Liger's going to finish him off if he grabs a hold of him. Because like we're at the point of the match and they've both worn each other down. Liger has worn Owen down more so obviously. So he's trying to desperately keep him from getting to the top rope himself. But, Liger is able to get up there. And, it goes to show you the amount of trust that Owen has in Liger, that he trusts him to, cradle his head under his arm and then fall backwards. And he has to fall down from the top rope. That's what people don't realize. Like, taking a DDT in of itself, you run a risk. It's a pretty safe move from what I understand, but you run a risk. But it's the risk is, is like exponentially higher when you're doing it from the top rope.
Let's take that risk up 6 feet and multiply it.
And, some of Liger's moves that I've, reviewed in past episodes, like there's a series of like top rope fisherman busters, which are devastating looking, but, there's a grace to them. There's a grace to his brain buster, whether it's the avalanche version or it's a regular version. But this DDT is just ugly. It's not in a bad, it's a bad wrestling move. Ugly. It's ugly. It looks nasty. It looks vicious. It looks like something I would never even want to attempt anyone to use on me in a wrestling match unless they were Jushin fucking Liger.
Yeah, and it's something that you do not see top rope DDTs. I mean, you see some elevated DDTs sometimes where guys got their feet up on the top rope and they're flat to the mat when they're going down. But that top rope DDT that Liger gives to Owen Hart just puts the exclamation point on the match, finishes it off, and you think, yeah, that's the move that's going to finish this match. It both guys threw the kitchen sink at each other at the start. They worked themselves over, and you have moonsault flying off the top rope, a drop kick to counter high risk maneuver, and then let's go top rope DDT.
Yeah,
it's definitely, as you say, it built to its crescendo.
Definitely. And this, believe it or not, this match is only 14 minutes and 58 seconds. So it feels like a longer match, but that's, I think, more because the scope of it feels like it should be a longer match. But it's a very easy 15 minutes to watch. It breezes by very quick. It's more or less a sprint from the beginning and slows down, but there's a lot of like fast transitions and countering of like arm locks and the leg locks and all the submission moves in this match. And then they just pick up the pace. I think one thing that we have to give Liger a lot of credit for, and even Owen Hart too, but mostly Liger is in control of this match, that he is an expert at pacing a match. If it needs to go like 15 minutes, he'll pace it for 15 minutes. And it doesn't feel like you got shortchanged. If it needs to go 30 minutes, it would be a very easy 30-minute match to watch, I feel. And like, I've not yet seen an over 20-minute Liger match so far that I thought was a drag to watch. They've all been very easy viewings for me.
Yeah, they've been entertaining. They've been very entertaining.
Okay, so final thoughts for me. This is an amazing match between two absolute legends of professional wrestling in Jushin Thunder Liger and, of course, the late great Owen Hart. These guys, you touched upon them, that they had history together, but that history and that chemistry that these two developed with each other is so evident in this match. Definitely a high recommendation for me. It's not on New Japan World, but it is easy to find. I'll probably put if you're listening to this after reading the show description, I'll probably have tried to put a link to that match in the show description. If you're not listening to this before reading that, or I'm confusing myself now. But if you're going to go check the show description out, if you're going to look for this match, go to the show description, and hopefully I'll have put a link up there for this match. If not, it's not that, like Mav said, it's not that hard to find.
Yeah, and you know what? And the other Owen Hart Liger match that I saw, Owen's wearing bright blue gear as well, and that's actually labeled as this match on the date.
But it's not.
So it's not. It's from a year before. So you want to if you want to see that Owen Hart Liger top of the Super Junior last match, look for that maple leaf.
Yeah, it's the red and white gear with the maple leaves.
Yep.
Where he looks very Canadian. It's the very Canadian gear. It's not the it's not the blue gear. It's not his blue blazer gimmick gear. So yeah, you can still watch that. I haven't watched it yet. I'm gonna watch it. I'm sure that's a good match too, obviously.
Yep.
But
also good.
Yeah. So Mavs, any final thoughts about Liger? He's retiring on January 6th. Any final thoughts on this match?
Real good send off for Owen, even if he didn't know this, this was his last match in New Japan, he went off on a banger. Liger, again, absolute legend, goes on and loses in the finals of Top of Super Junior. And so he doesn't win his IWGP Junior Heavyweight crown out of the tournament. Again, a solid match, has a bit of everything that you'd want in a match. You've got your high flying, you've got your technical wrestling, you've got it's and you know what, you made a really good point, WH, on the pacing of the match, where it is 15 minutes, so it seems as if they've blocked it out very well. Okay, we're gonna put this segment in here for 3 minutes where we're doing our arm drags and our hip tosses. All right, we're going to go back out to the floor. We'll do it again. We'll get our high-flying stuff in here. We'll get our submission holds in here. And, it's compelling. It's very compelling, and the crowd is eating it up as well, which is a big part of it.
Yeah, definitely. The crowd knew they were watching something special. So, Mavs, if people want to find more of you, where can they find you?
At Mavs Gillis. You can find me there, and we're just keeping fingers crossed that we'll be back on the other side of the Pacific sooner rather than later. Still, we're keeping ready to be on the New Japan World broadcast, doing English broadcasting, and enjoying the company at the table there, and enjoying the best wrestling action in the world.
And maybe you and I can enjoy some lunch at Kokoichiban's in the future.
Yes.
Somewhere.
Yeah. We didn't get to meet up my last trip, unfortunately. I do want to go to Nakano Broadway, though. We got to make that a stop.
Well, we'll stop at we'll have dinner in that area then. There's some nice izakayas, and so maybe some nabe restaurants we can hit up there while we're in Nakano. Of course, you can find me at WHPark9. Of course, you can find me every month doing the Post Perez podcast with John Pollock here at postwrestling.com. And on behalf of Mavs, I want to thank all the listeners for tuning into this particular show. And of course, tuning into previous episodes of Thunderstruck, and to continue tuning in to future episodes. We're not done yet, folks. I still got about 15 more, maybe more after this. So you're not done with me yet. So stay tuned. There's a lot more Liger to come. And until I see everyone on the next episode, I will say goodbye.